Hi, fellow classmates, instructors, and friends. This is Ginny, your humble TCM student who knows absolutely nothing about this field, but wanted to start this audio journal to record everything TCM. If you would like to join my study group as well, please come learn with me. And let's get healthier by healing our bodies from the inside out holistically together. Hey Kuko fam, thank you so much for tuning back with me for another study session. Today we're actually going to talk about a superfood, which is Reishi. I don't know if you guys heard about it. I have growing up because my mom would actually make it for me from time to time. And I have to say I don't really know what the benefits are. And I just drank it because my mom told me to. But today we have a professional with us. She's a doctor that practices traditional Chinese medicine, and she is going to break down why reishi is really healthy for us, what it is, all the benefits, and how to consume it and everything. So, without further ado, I would love to welcome Melissa. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, no problem. So, could you tell us a little bit about your background in regards to how you became a practitioner? Why did this even interest you in the first place?
Absolutely, yeah. So I've been practicing in Vancouver since 2001. So originally, I was always interested in health. I thought I was going to go into sports medicine. I had some knee pain since I was 12 years old. I was a figure skater and I used to have to wear knee braces and shoe orthotics. And as a preteen and teen, it wasn't super fun to have to wear these things that were not cool. And so I wanted to get into sports medicine. I did a degree in human kinetics, kinesiology, and I had written my MCATs going into medical school applications and decided I need to grow my resume. So I went to Japan for a couple of years. My first year there was doing research. And I think that, so I'm half Japanese Canadian. My mom is third generation Japanese Canadian. But living in Japan, I really got the sense of sort of the more holistic Eastern vibe. And that's really what started to shift me in my direction. And I came back to Vancouver after a couple of years in Japan and decided that there was something else for me. I happened to pick up a book on Chinese medicine, and the rest, as they say, is history. For me, it was just an eye opener, Chinese medicine, and I'm really glad I've been practicing it for this long.
Yeah. Wow, so you got the best of both worlds. So you have like the background of like Western medicine and the background of traditional Chinese medicine now. Or Eastern.
Yeah, yeah, so I really enjoy trying to integrate the two. When I first learned Chinese medicine, though, I really kind of had to put the Western perspective to the side. I had to kind of mentally box it up and just be fully open to the Eastern perspective, the traditional Chinese medicine perspective. But now I get to integrate them.
Yeah. So, okay, I feel like this is a question that I've always had with my friends. And basically, is that a lot of people do think that traditional Chinese medicine is hocus pocus and it's just not credible. You know, a lot of people just don't believe in it only because it has been around for thousands of years, and then they're like, oh, but there's no clinical trials and stuff. So they're very skeptical about it. Like from you, which have both worlds, like how would you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, that is something that I earlier in my practice faced a lot. I feel like people are more and more open to other forms of medicine now than they certainly were 20 years ago. But, I think, first of all, the idea that people say that there's no good clinical studies or there's no research to support traditional Chinese medicine is a complete fallacy. There's actually a lot of research, and there's some really good people compiling that as well. And so, for example, I just wrote an article just for my blog yesterday about anxiety and acupuncture and got really into, some of the research behind it too and how it works. And so there actually is a lot of data. And the other thing about traditional Chinese medicine is that although it's been around for thousands of years, it's not stagnant. So the way that it's practiced has continued to evolve over the years and continues to evolve now. So I want it to be understood as a modern medicine
Yeah.
with traditional roots.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I remember having dinner with friends like just last week, and we were actually talking about this. And it wasn't like frustrating because it was just sharing ideas and thoughts and just how they thought of traditional Chinese medicine. Because for me, doing this, obviously, I believe it. To hear someone, you know, talk about it in terms of they're not sure and stuff, like, so it's really nice for you to say that there are a lot of trials and research and everything, because I just feel like it's just not brought to light as much as Western medicine. It's just not as popular right now. That's why
Yeah.
it's that's why less people know about it. But it doesn't mean that it's not being researched, it's not moving forward, even
Oh,
though
absolutely.
the word quote unquote traditional is in there, it doesn't mean that, as you said, we're being stagnant. It's, continue to progress. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, the thing about the research is that we have this standard of, gold standard research is double blinded, is large scale, is randomized. And the protocols that you follow you have to have a protocol for treatment. And in traditional Chinese medicine, there's some challenge in doing research that follows those things because there is no protocol that you follow for everybody. It is very customized and individualized, and that makes it inherently difficult to do the traditional, conventional, modern forms of research we're doing now. But we have to remember that research is essentially forming a hypothesis and then testing it over and over and over again, trying out that hypothesis. And that's what Chinese medicine has been doing for thousands of years. I always tell people who are skeptical, well, first of all, you don't have to believe in Chinese medicine in order for it to work for you. I've had some patients ask, do I have to believe in this for it to work? No, but it's helpful if your mind isn't working against the therapy. But also, the treatment itself, it's not something that somebody would go for needles in them and tasting horrible tasting herbs. If it didn't work over
Yeah.
thousands of years, people would have stopped it at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Oh man, I'm definitely going to get them to listen to this part of it. You put it so nicely, and it's just so easy to understand. Way better than what my husband and I did.
Well, it's funny because years ago I did a joint lecture with my mom. And so my mom is Japanese Canadian. So she looks fully Asian, and she's a nurse. And we did a lecture together of Eastern and Western. And so everybody assumed that I was going to be covering the Western and she was going to be covering the Eastern. But it was the flip side of things. And I think traditional Chinese medicine, one of the things that I really enjoy about it is it has a strong foundation. It has a strong system. And so when people say, well, how do you even pick the herbs? It's the system. It's very systematic. It's not voodoo. It's not randomly poking needles in somebody. There's a system behind it for what locations and everything. It's amazing. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's just because we don't know enough about it. That's why people would think the way that they do.
Yeah, and I also think that people often forget that, before we had a microscope, we used to think that viruses were caused by tiny little demons. So some of the therapies we're way off track. But some of the therapies that were used were antiviral herbs. And they didn't know that they thought that those were expelling demons, but they were actually killing viruses and bacteria. It didn't matter that they didn't understand how it was working, it still worked.
Yeah. Like trial
In
and
fact, we
error.
don't even know. Yeah, exactly. And we don't even know mechanism of action of acetaminophen or Tylenol.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yet it is the most used over-the-counter drug.
Yeah. Yeah. We
But
also
nobody
talked about
goes, well,
that.
I don't know how it works, so it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think more so because you have so many herbs in there and you're targeting so many things. And because it's not a medicine where, oh, I have to drink it once and it works. Like it just,
Hmm.
they have this sense of, oh, so I have to drink it like at least a week for it to work. But maybe because I am resting for a week, I just automatically heal from that without, you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like a placebo effect. Like they feel like, oh yeah, it's not the herbs, it's just time.
Oh, yeah. Well,
But anyways,
I'll tell a side story. Just, you can keep this or not. But
yeah,
I have a
yeah.
patient who came in one time with a really stiff neck, and that was very clear that
Mm,
that was exactly what he needed treatment for, was this very stiff neck. He would turn his whole body, shoulders. He couldn't turn his neck when he
mm,
wanted to look to the side. So I said, well, clearly you're here for your neck. I'm like, okay, tell me about that. And he said, well, I don't believe that acupuncture is going to help me, but my wife made me come.
oh,
So here I am. Just do what you do, and so I can get my wife to stop bugging me.
yeah, classic.
I said, no, no problem. So I did the treatment. I said, well, first of all, I said it might take us more than one session. You've been like this for several weeks from your report. And so it's going to take us more than one session. Give me 3 sessions.
Hmm.
And so after the first session, he booked a follow-up appointment, and he came back in the next time, and I was like, oh, it looks like you're moving a bit better. He said, yeah, but it could be just coincidence. And I said, do you believe in acupuncture yet? He said, no. I said, no problem. Okay, let's do acupuncture on you. Did the second treatment, came back for the third, and he was moving much better. And I said, oh, look at that. Your neck is looking so much better. And he said, yeah, it is, but it could be coincidence. And I said, do you believe in acupuncture yet? And he said, no. He was
Hmm.
like, but I'm going to keep coming because it is, I just feel like I should. So he came in for 2 more sessions. And at the end of the 5th session, he was better, 100%. Could move. He was renovating his house again, which was making his family happy. So I said, okay, seems like it's the last session. You seem really good. So do you believe in acupuncture yet? He said, no, but I'm going to tell all my friends they should try it.
Oh, interesting. Like, yeah, I mean, sometimes people just be stubborn about it, right? Even though it works, but they don't really understand, so they just
Totally.
believe
And
that
he
it's
was,
not.
I think by the end he was joking, and he really did believe in it.
Hmm.
But it just, good for him for keeping trying.
Yeah, yeah, because some people don't even have that patience, so good for him, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, going back to what we were talking about, which is
Hmm.
reishi. So, could you explain to us what reishi is?
Sure. Yeah. So, reishi mushroom, it's a mushroom, first of all. They come from the kingdom of fungi. So, they're neither plants. We often think of them like plants, but they're actually not plants and they're not animals. They're actually closer to the animal kingdom, the category of fungi, than it is to the plant kingdom. And mushrooms sitting in the class of fungi are kind of unique, and reishi mushroom has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years. In my herbology textbooks, my original learning about reishi mushroom, I learned it as Lingzhi,
Yes.
and it is also known as Ganoderma lucidum. The class of Ganoderma has a bunch of different species under it, but Ganoderma lucidum or Lingzhi or red reishi is the most common that we use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not gonna lie, I've been kind of obsessed with mushrooms lately. They're just so fascinating, like from lion's mane to like how to grow your own mushrooms. I don't even
Yeah.
know if you could grow your own reishi. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, I've never tried it. I think it would. So, first of all, it takes time. It's not, certain mushrooms you can grow really quickly, but reishi mushroom, in order to get all the compounds that you really want for medicinal use, it takes a long time to cultivate that. Um, and so you really need to allow it to mature. There are ways that you can grow it in, you have to have a proper substrate for that. You have to have a good quality reishi starting point. You can use, like, traditionally a natural wood log cultivation is what's used.
Wow.
And so it takes a long time, and you can find them as well in the wild. But, like, I went to Haida Gwaii in 2019, and I saw what looked like reishi mushrooms, but they were different. They were a different species of Ganoderma.
Oh.
So you can find them around, but they, in China, they used to be only for royalty. They're not found everywhere.
So how long does it take for a reishi to mature and grow?
My understanding is about a year,
Oh.
but I've not grown reishi myself before.
I was just curious, only because it is for the royals, as you said. Like, I just assumed that it's like probably, I don't know, like something ridiculous, like 30 plus years.
Yeah, it's not like ginseng. I mean, you can pay crazy amounts of money for if it's been aged super long. I don't think that reishi is like that. Now people do cultivate it, so we're fortunate to be able to get that. Anybody can get it. You don't need to be royalty. But it used to be that they would have to forage for it. And so it really was considered a very special herb. And for that reason, it was reserved for royalty.
I just remember that in traditional Chinese medicine, it's not the most affordable. Let me just say,
No.
my mom used to
Yeah.
get it, and I remember her saying how, like, we have to use this sparingly because it's pretty expensive. So, can you tell us what the benefits of this herb is?
Yeah, so I can start with what I learned it as first was from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective. We classify the herbs under different categories, and of course, the herbs can do more than one thing, but its main category is calm the spirit. So it's very good for calming the nervous system. We would say tonify or nourish the heart and calm the spirit. But it's also really helpful for the lung energy. So it can help with stopping coughing and wheezing. And it's a chi tonic as well, an energy tonic, and nourishes the blood. Chi tonic doesn't mean it's a stimulant, it means it nourishes energy in the body so that you have more resources to be able to do the things you want. But, in modern thinking, we classify it as an adaptogen. An adaptogen is a class of substances that are natural. First of all, they are safe to use by a wide range of people for a wide range of uses, safe to use long term. They help the body to adapt to stressors. So they help to bring the body back to homeostasis or balance. And so if somebody, for example, has an overreactive immune system, like allergies or autoimmune issues, the reishi mushroom helps to calm it, settle it down. And if they have a tendency towards catching lots of colds, then it'll help to boost the immune system. Now, our understanding of reishi mushroom, it has a wide range of uses, including supporting the liver, the kidneys, the heart. It's used a lot for support of the immune system. It definitely sits in the class, from a Western perspective, of herbs that can support a calming nervous system. So help with people who have anxiety, stress, sleep problems, but also help with energy. So sometimes my patients ask, well, should I take it as in the morning or the evening? And I'm like, well, you could take it either. If you want it to help you with sleep and you need calming, you might take it in the evening on a regular basis. But if you sleep okay and you need more like an energy tonic, then take it in the daytime. It helps to bring your body to balance.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
It is.
I've just been seeing a lot of reishi in the market, maybe because of my obsession with mushrooms lately. But I have been seeing a lot of a lot of people pushing out health products with either reishi or lion's mane, mainly because of like the cognitive function that it has, and it makes you more like clear minded. It helps you with stress, definitely mental health in general. It helps that a lot. So yeah, that's really incredible, bringing back to balance. You mentioned that you could take it for long periods of time, and for a majority of people, like even kids or even pregnant ladies, even people who are suffering from like chronic illnesses, would you also prescribe those to them?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, for children, we haven't done testing for it, but you mentioned that you used to be given it. I don't know what age you were given it, but a lot of people do give reishi to their children, particularly for example, if they tend to catch a lot of colds, they want to support their immune system, or if helping with good sleep as well. Generally, kids don't need so much in the direction of I need more energy for my
yes.
child, but maybe helping them to sleep. And yeah, so certainly for children, it can be helpful. Pregnant women, there's no contraindication for pregnancy as well. In Chinese medicine, we almost always combine, we very rarely give herbs as a single herb. They're almost always in combination, but reishi is one of the rare herbs that we can prescribe individually.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Well, when I was young, I used to take it during my adolescence phase. When I first had my period and it was kind of wonky and stuff. So my mom used to brew it, I guess. And I remember drinking it. It tastes nasty.
Horrible.
It's super bitter. Like, how
Yes.
would you prepare it and how do you consume it, really?
Well, it sounds like your mom was getting some good quality reishi. It should be bitter.
Okay. How much do you make? Like, really? I don't even know.
Yeah, the bitterness is a sign, first of all, that it contains a class of compounds called the triterpenes. In particular, there's one that is widely recognized called ganoderic acid, Ganoderma lucidum, the scientific name for reishi mushroom. These compounds are what's helpful for the anti-inflammatory benefits, the liver benefits, the heart benefits, it probably for the sleep benefits as well, and the kidney benefits. Whereas the other class of compounds called the polysaccharides can be found in both the fruiting body as well as the mycelium. I should give a little anatomy about reishi lesson as well. Um,
Sure.
so the reishi mushroom is basically your stem and your cap. So what your mom was probably getting is the part that you think of when you think of a mushroom. It's the stem and cap. Now, not all mushrooms have that shape, but reishi does. That is the part that she would have had to cut, slice it thinly, and then boil it for a long time in order to be able to get the compounds out of there. In the stem and cap, which is called the fruiting body, you can get the triterpenes and the polysaccharides. And then there's the mycelium, which is kind of like a thread-like, root-like structure that's underground. And so you asked about when you're looking for supplement, for example, you want to make sure that you have the fruiting body in it because the mycelium only has the polysaccharides. Now, the polysaccharides are beneficial because they're supportive for the immune system, but you're going to be missing a lot of the other benefits that you might want out of it as well. You want to make sure that you're getting the fruiting body, and that's what we've used in traditional Chinese medicine is the fruiting body. Forms that you can take it. You can definitely do the kind where you boil it for a long time. Your house probably smelled lovely after
Lovely.
that boiling. I mean, I love the smell of Chinese herbs. I go into Chinese herbal shops and I'm like, smells like health. It smells so good to me.
Wow, not a lot of people think that way.
Exactly. So, now I prefer to recommend that people get the pre-made formats, and so the extracts can be done and then turned into powder, and that powder can be capsulated. So if you don't want to taste the bitter, you can get them in capsule forms. You can get in powder forms as well. Some companies do powders, and if you want to not have the horrible taste, you could mix it with something that is already bitter. So even sometimes I'll tell people, if you want to make a recipe, even if you've got the capsule, you can open it up into some hot chocolate, for example. And that's a good way to get it, because you won't taste the bitter of the reishi as much because the chocolate's already bitter.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people put it in their coffee.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, is that counterproductive?
Um, Only if you want the reishi for your sleep benefits, then yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, I know in the morning you said that it would boost your energy, but if you're already putting it in your coffee, is that like double boost of energy? Or is that just like, okay, I'm boosting my energy, but because I have reishi, it's gonna neutralize it?
No, it would be more like, I think it would be more like you get more sustained energy. You know how you get the coffee
Ah,
energy
the
rush, but
crash,
then you
yeah.
get the crash.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted sustained energy, perhaps you'd find that the reishi would help you with more sustained energy.
Ah, okay. So my question is, how much should you have, and how often should you have it?
I think part of that depends on what's going on for you. So if you're using this as a daily preventative format, it'd be a little bit different than if you're using it to treat something, because it depends on what other things you're taking and the severity of the issue that you're managing. But generally, you want to have at least a few grams of the herb in order to be able to make sure that you're getting enough if you want the medicinal benefits.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And going back to our very first question, I guess, where we started talking about how does it work, does it not? Like, how do you know? Like placebo effects, do you actually have any testimonials that you could share that, hey, it actually works?
Sure. More recently, a patient of mine actually was the one who requested from me, because her mom was requesting reishi mushroom. So she has a smart mom too. So she said, "Well, my mom wants some reishi mushroom. Can you make some recommendations?" And she said that she would buy me a box too, so I'll try it out as well. Now, this patient was catching a lot of colds. She's quite active. She was finding that she was getting short of breath because she was having a hard time with recovery from the colds. So her lungs weren't back to condition. And so the reishi really helped her recover from the cold and get her lungs back. And she found that she was able to go back to full play and sport at the level that she had before, which she had been struggling with after getting the cold. And she also finds that it helps in prevention too. So that was one example. I had a dog with a heart condition. And so for years, like, she had an enlarged heart, and her breed tended towards congestive heart failure. So for years, I was giving her, following the veterinary recommendations and giving some medicine, but I also added reishi to her food as well. Thankfully, she was a dog who liked weird things. So she didn't mind I threw a little reishi powder in there. She used to like to eat kale stalks.
Oh, wow.
So I really feel that it really helped her. She never ended up getting congestive heart failure. She always had the enlarged heart, but
Mm.
she never went into congestive heart failure.
Oh, that's great.
So, and that just goes to show you as well that it can be used for animals as well. That's how broad scope its use can be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Can I ask, like, what qualities do you look for when you're choosing reishi? I mean, okay, like, because I feel like nowadays not a lot of people would boil it themselves.
Yeah.
So, and you mentioned that there are supplements out there, and I definitely have seen some too. So, like, how do you know that you're selecting the right one? Because, like, there's like reishi powders, as you said, there's like reishi supplements. Yeah, what do you look for?
Yeah, so I look for, first of all, that it includes the fruiting body.
Mm.
And so it should say on the label, includes fruiting body. Um,
Specifically.
yeah, if it does not, so if it's not the whole mushroom or fruiting body only, then you're not getting the triterpene compounds, which are doing a bulk of the activities that we're looking for the health benefits.
Mm.
If it's a whole mushroom, I kind of rather the fruiting body because I want to know that I'm getting sufficient quantity of the triterpenes. If it's a whole mushroom, then maybe I'm getting a lot of the mycelium, which is really going to be focusing on the polysaccharides. So my preference is fruiting body. Then I look as well, in Chinese medicine, we've used hot water as the extraction method for a long time. So that boiling of the herb over a long period of time. So you boil it and then you separate out the water and then you add in more water and you boil it again. And that is a hot water extraction. And so that is a way to extract out the compounds that you need, as well as make sure that it's safe. It does pull out the bioactive compounds that I want. For me as well, I look for, if I'm going to recommend supplements to my patients that I want to add on, particularly a lot of people are taking a lot of supplements. So something that I think that they're actually going to take in a quantity that's going to be reasonable. Some of the Chinese herbal formulas that I recommend, I'm having to get patients take 6 tablets a day. So if I'm going to add on something like reishi, I'd really rather it be simple. So like a 1 capsule a day, 2 capsule a day most is a lot easier for me to recommend. I've seen supplements that say you need to take 12 a day. I know that compliance is going to be really hard for that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think of ease for use. Now, I've done a lot of writing for the company Mike, and I know that they do those things that I recommended. I look for quality of a product that I know and can trust, and that can back up their claims with evidence about how they do their processing.
So for Mike, like, do you just take like 1 tablet a day then?
Yeah, most times there will be days that I'll take 2. There might even be days I take 3. The nice thing about it is that because it's an adaptogen, you can take a higher dose if needed and know that it's still safe. I mean, it's nice to be able to have that play, but most days it's 1 a day.
Okay. Well, that's kind of good because kind of like a multivitamin then. For
Yeah,
any
exactly.
age, right? For any age,
Yep.
because you said it balances everything. No matter what symptoms you have, it's going to balance it. So it sounds like a magic
Well, it has
mushroom.
been called the food of the immortals before. I mean,
Ah.
that's not a what we can say it does, but it is also rich in a lot of nutrients too. So it could be considered like an insurance policy. It's challenging to describe how an herb can have so many uses, but that is sort of the definition of an adaptogen. It has a lot of reasons why it's helpful.
So I'm going to take it a step further because we all know that a lot of people take a lot of specific vitamins and stuff, right? Like, you have like vitamin D, vitamin B, multivitamin, and all of that stuff, right? Would you actually scrap all of the vitamins and just get them to take this one reishi vitamin?
No, because for example, mushrooms are one of those foods that do or can contain vitamin D, but I couldn't tell you how much vitamin D is in each capsule, for example. And vitamin D deficiency is very common in the Northern Hemisphere in particular. So I would say that wouldn't cover that base. And I do think that the thing about, and this is also from my perspective as a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, is that you really need to look at the individual and their needs. And some people will have specific things that they need more of. If they're a vegan, for example, they may need to supplement a vitamin B12 because they're not going to be getting that from their diet. Omega-3 fatty acids are often deficient. And so, there's certain other supplements that I do recommend often. Probiotics depends on what's going on for the individual, but it could form a good foundational piece.
Okay. Okay, so there's no harm in taking it with other vitamins at all,
Hmm.
but it is just like a good foundation. Okay, well, thank you so much for explaining all of benefits of reishi with us because I've always been kind of curious as to the benefits. But yeah, I guess that ends our study session today. So thank you so much, Melissa, for joining with me in this discussion. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Bye. I am so happy that Maike has actually provided me with some reishi mushroom essence vitamins to try. I've tried for a month now, and I do see a difference in regards to lowering my anxiety. Whenever I get a little bit too panicky or antsy, I do keep calm a little bit more than before. There's more clarity whenever I have those episodes. So I am excited for you guys to try because I'm going to be giving away 2 boxes of 60 capsules, which means you're going to have a total of 120 capsules to try yourself. So please let me know how you feel after trying it. If you really like it, please continue to purchase from them. As you know, they are of high quality of reishi mushroom, and they do use the fruiting body, which is very important from what Melissa has said. So please give it a try, and I will post more details in my Instagram post. So if you're not following me, please do so, and you can see all of the details for this giveaway. My Instagram account is kuko.health. So I will be announcing it soon, and I hope to see everyone's comments. Thank you. If you like this episode, please give it a like. If you would like to hear future episodes, please subscribe. Or if you have any questions about health, please send me an email at kuko.health@gmail.com, which is kuko.health. If you just want to say hi or drop me a DM on Instagram, come follow me at kuko.health, which is again kuko.health. Thank you so much for listening to me today, and please stay warm and healthy out there, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.